Oh man, hello everybody. Happy New Year. This is our first Hypergraph Hour after the New Year, and it feels like a year already happened. And it's already been volatile AF. So I'm really excited about this. This year is going to be outstanding. Probably some of the most fun we're gonna ever have. And I say that in that the future is always fun, but it's these moments in the early stages of businesses that when things all start to come together, you've got a market, you've got a team, you've got product coming out, and everybody really knows their own swim lanes and how to really accelerate. And we'll kind of look back and be like, this was the exciting stuff. And already I've seen so much growth come out of the community and individuals standing up to be leaders, as well as our own team kind of come to the forefront and really figure out how we're all working together. So I'm really excited to talk with you all, and it's really been fun having Altif come back in to the fold of Constellation after taking a bit of a break, and it's really exciting. And I want to first say thank you for so many people helping me put together this roadmap. This is not just what goes on in my mind, but it actually comes together with the entire team, and then Headroom really coming in and providing a way to visualize it. So I'm going to get started here today. I think we've got everybody. Are we good to go?
I think so. Mateo, are you ready? And Benjamin, are you ready?
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, yep. Matthias, you want to go to slide 2, please? And Matthias, just tell me to shut up anytime that I get overly verbose. We all know that I can get overly verbose and just keep babbling when I don't have a...
You're good. Go on.
So I'm going to first just kind of articulate the layout for today. And I wanted to have a little bit of structure to this happy hour, Hypergraph Hour. And well, I'll definitely open it up for questions, but I think a lot of these questions are going to be answered through this structure and laying out what's in store for the next year. Which is an evolution of so many different aspects. First, we're going to go through a market overview. Something that we want to start doing is telling you our opinion of where the markets are going. And this is non-investment advice, just how we see the markets and how Constellation's roadmap is woven into market sentiment. Then I want to introduce a concept of a Japanese concept called Kiretsus, and how Constellation is really mirroring the Japanese concept of a multinational conglomerates, but in a decentralized way. And I think this will help provide a nice way of consolidating a perspective of what we're building. And then 3, we're going to go through the 2021 roadmap. Yep, you're going to have to sit through 10 minutes of me talking before we go through the roadmap. And the things that we're really going to highlight on the roadmap, which I really want everybody to just take home. If you take home anything today on the roadmap, it is really around these 5 bullet points: tokenomics, DAG terminal and the L0 standard, Lattice launch, publishing L0 tokens for instant liquidity on Lattice, and the data exchange. And that really encompasses our roadmap for 2021. And then I'm going to finish out with something that Anna and Frank kind of brought up yesterday, which is why state channels matter. Why state channels? And we talk a lot about it. We don't really provide that. And then kind of doing a quick recap on what you heard. And so, today what I really want everybody to get out of this is that 2021 is a year that's focused on navigating the cryptocurrency industry, and where the last 3 years have been set around enterprise utility, validating data. You're going to hear very little of that from our team. And you're going to hear more around how we relate to the crypto industry, as this is the year where 90% of our efforts will be focused on navigating Constellation in the crypto industry. So, interesting. You want to go to slide 3 now, please? So, in the market overview, here's kind of we've summarized and what's going on. And we break this down. This is traditionally how investment thesis and people that manage portfolios will come out and really talk about the tailwinds, meaning what's giving us a boost in the economy and what are the headwinds, what are the things pushing back. And what I'm going to attempt to do right here is frame how these, what are the tailwinds that we're seeing right now in the current global state. And then how does this relate to Constellation? So one of the interesting things happening today is that economic recovery is actually very strong in the US and China. We're not really in this crazy recession that everybody's making light of, but we're seeing the US and China as the two dominant economies that are making light of the current events, while Europe is really stagnating and struggling right now. So this is strong, as these are the biggest consumers, importers and exporters of materials and things across the board. We're also seeing increased savings in money market accounts. What does that mean? Well, this means that people are stashing money and that money's not actually getting to work. So there's such an increase in savings and money market accounts, which are earning about 0% interest right now, which ultimately means that that money has to go to work rather quickly and rather soon. And that might go into cryptocurrency, it might go into markets in general. The third point is that the digital transformation, stay-at-home stocks, and ITs have been the biggest successors out of this rise in our economy right now. And this is really good for us, being that we are a digital economy. Money is relatively cheap to borrow, but yet the yield curve is going up for fixed income investments. And this is a really good thing that I'm going to harp on later. But because money is relatively easy and cheap to borrow, people are going out there, getting homes, starting to take more investment risks, because it won't ever be this low again. This is insanely low, and we aim to see that it's going to increase over the next year or 2 years. And then there's aggressive stimulus coming out. So comparing this to 2009, where there was aggressive stimulus, this is like a factor of 3 on this, at least a factor of 3 on the stimulus. And this is actually what's giving us a lot of the boost for their economy. However, there are headwinds that are coming that we're facing this year. And I think it's pertinent to kind of look at the ecosystem as what are those headwinds. There's rising bankruptcy and unemployment, there's geopolitical uncertainty, and there's a lack of transparency that people are demanding. We're also seeing hyperinflation from the aggressive stimulation. And then on the stock market, and even with crypto, we're seeing parabolic effects with PE ratios. So that's the price per earnings ratio of stocks that where traditionally a healthy, or even a healthy number in stocks would be around 18. We're seeing 30 to above, which is okay, and we'll go into that really quick. But it also is something to kind of take note that things are fat right now. And then there's mass adoption and entry into the crypto world is very limited. Although we're seeing some really good things coming out, we're still not seeing it very easy to purchase cryptocurrency across the board, and we're not seeing ease of utility. But I think that's okay. We are seeing Coinbase plans to IPO this year, so does Robinhood, all kind of on-ramps for crypto. So what is it? So what is interesting about this this market overview is that the headwinds in equity markets are actually the tailwinds in crypto, where geopolitical uncertainty impacts whether people buy their home or buy stocks. It's actually creating more confidence into digital currencies. And so thus we're seeing, and even hyperinflation kind of unfolds into why people need a digital currency with a capped amount of that currency. The other kind of interesting positioning that we're seeing is that decentralized networks are not providing the ease of liquidity at the base layer and are limited to scaling. We're all seeing this with Ethereum in the DeFi space and high gas fees. And so we're seeing the limitations right now as new financial products are coming onto decentralized networks, which positions Constellation in a very positive light because we're an alternative decentralized ecosystem. And because we're addressing some of those liquidity issues at scale, namely, DAG does not have gas fees, right? So there's the opportunity for the ease of liquidity throughout our entire ecosystem, which actually becomes one of Constellation's main focuses, bringing more liquidity into our ecosystem. The other big thing here is going back to the yield curve as it relates to fixed income. Well, what's interesting in crypto is that we're seeing yield-bearing products come into the crypto space overnight. Where the DeFi industry was really launched last year, we're starting to see a multitude of yield-bearing products, which shows a healthy ecosystem that's evolving, that's not solely based on speculation, but actually has some mechanics built into it that is inviting institutions to come in and become players in the space. So we see this as that actually is utility of cryptocurrencies, creating these financial products that will kind of invite the next layer around alternative value-based networks like Constellation, ride this wave of increased use of IT, institutional investors coming in because there are yield-bearing products. All of these things kind of present this amazing macro economic perspective of why Constellation's poised for success. And everything that we're building today is not just about scalability in the technological sense, but also in the economical sense, and Lattice becoming that financial interface that plays into the yield-bearing products. So a lot of what we're about to show in this roadmap will show that we are in that kind of trajectory. You want to go to slide 4, please? So one of the main things that Constellation, we had to sit back as a core team, think about is what are we building here? And how are we building it? And what are we mirroring off of that that's also successful in society? And one of the things that we pointed out is a Kiretsu. And for those of you that don't know what a Kiretsu is, I highly advise people to grab a book and read about it. In World War II, when Japan was absolutely demolished and trade sanctions were imposed by the US, the Japanese came together to create a new business model to elevate them and get them out of this really devastating situation. And they created what is called a zaibatsu. And a zaibatsu was basically a conglomerate and horizontal monopolies that occurred within organization that immediately created the rise of Japanese economy, and then was later deemed a monopoly. And so they formed what is called a Kiretsu, which is now what really elevates the Japanese economy today. Mitsubishi is one of the most known Kiretsu in the space, that they own everything from banks to elevators to technology to the automotive industry, and is primarily a term for industrial companies owning horizontal entities. But the real kind of takeaway here is that they act as a holding company, and these holding companies then provide funding and support to new businesses or adjacent businesses that prevent stock fluctuations, that prevent strategic takeovers or competitive takeovers. And so they act as like they don't act as a one entity, but actually give people the kind of governance over each of those entities. And it's a very fascinating model because Constellation is kind of mirroring a Kiretsu, but yet in a decentralized way, where DAG as a currency could be thought of as almost like that economic layer that people can kind of lean on to build the next layer of applications. So, and so that's how we want people to start seeing this as like a decentralized Kiretsu for all intents and purposes. So, in the traditional sense, the holding company owns a small portion of each entity. They act as a core bank and they prevent kind of manipulations. But in Constellation sense, we're going to focus on governance to prevent competitors from breaking through and drive a cohesion and communication in our community. And thus, then we start to look at are us creating tokenomics that provide liquidity through projects built on Constellation. Think of this as like no gas fees. And then Constellation as the support of and growth of new ideas that leverage our entire network and technology. So this really is the digital economy of the future. Next slide. So now we're going to spend some time on our roadmap. As I said, our team and our select members from our community have really helped kind of build out this roadmap, which I don't think I've ever been more excited for the future of Constellation. We spent most of our time over the past years consolidating our identity, articulating our identity to the community, and getting our main network launched, node operators launched, an idea of governance established, a community voice established, and some key players on enterprise to provide validation, as well as kind of our currency being actively traded, which I think we've done an amazing job. But now it's time to kind of shrink this down and consolidate this so that we articulate a product goal across the entire crypto industry, so that we see that we're talking to our supporters, which are in the crypto space. And this is something where I think that we've done maybe a poor job of in the past few years, where it's been more focused on enterprise, and now it's going to be shifting a lot of our focus onto crypto related products. So everything in this next year is about adoption, creating liquidity in our ecosystem, and creating crypto related programs and APY programs, as well as an on-ramp for people to create their own token on Constellation and be able to push that and find liquidity through Lattice. So I'm going to start with each quarter and break this down. And tokenomics, so for Q1, Wyatt has spent some time with the community building out a new tokenomics model that expresses this liquidity in our entire ecosystem. And so what we're going to be releasing next month will be this very extended piece that Wyatt has already put together in draft that talks about our tokenomics. It provides the math behind the tokenomics and why it works. And then we'll be providing a one-pager on the benefits of our tokenomics versus other projects and some of the key features and highlights, which we'll talk about a little later. Also during this quarter, we'll be releasing our state channel demo. So we want to start articulating what a state channel is, showing how it's built. And this will set us up very nicely for Q2. And then one of the big things that we want to achieve in this quarter is establishing or proposing a new governance structure. And many people in the community have reached out to me and voiced and proposed new governance structure. And while this is not, we want to be a decentralized organization, we're going to be putting this out for a proposal to review by the Stardust Collective, by node operators, by anybody in the community that wants to participate to create this new governance structure that really kind of focuses on improved communication between the core team and the community. It holds people accountable to act in a certain manner. It holds people accountable for what they are bringing to this digital economy, and really kind of ensures the next phase of developer adoption and success for Constellation. One of the key components in this new governance structure is to have what we call pod leads, where we break down the core tenets of our company, which is crypto, its business, and its product or technology. And so one of the ideas proposed was that we have product leads, and these product leads pod leads would lead the crypto pod or the product pod, or the business pod, and they would have information around what Constellation is doing in those respective pods, and those respective pods would also have people and representatives voted in to support them. And so this is one of the ideas that will be coming out either later this week or next week, that really kind of channels a better governance model and more streamlined communication. This quarter, we'll also be doing an enterprise week. and we'll be doing a marketing event. This quarter, I believe, is around an interview and fireside chat with Reihito Hatsuyama, where we will talk about Kiretsu's, his experience in working in Mitsubishi, and then talking about non-fungible tokens and the role of blockchain technology. Reihito is on the board of Mythical Games, which uses blockchain technology inside of their gaming infrastructure. So I think this is going to be a really amazing talk. So following this, the subsequent quarters, what you'll see are that continuation of quarterly Enterprise Week, quarterly marketing events that we're going to do as, that will really activate each of the pod leads to help bring their experience, their learnings, and build these events in stride. In Q2, this is the biggest quarter that we've planned out. This is a lot of magic is going to happen, and it's so exciting to see this come together. We're going to be launching the DAG terminal. So the DAG terminal will be a downloadable client where people will be able to access with their Stargazer wallet and keys. So we will be launching the Stargazer wallet, which is a web wallet that will that's an evolution of the Molly wallet. So people will use their Stargazer wallet to access the DAG terminal, and the DAG terminal will really be where we launch state channels. And so our idea of state channels, which I'll go into in the next slide, but the idea of state channels is it's very similar to a smart contract, but with more permissions, more logic built into it, and the ability to capture more data. And our goal here is that when you download the terminal, you'll be able to go through a 10-step process that walks anybody through the process to create a state channel and deploy that on our network, which will also, that state channel could be a financial state channel, which we call the L0 standard. The L0 standard is very similar to the ERC20 standard and token. So what our focus will be is to walk people through the ability to create their state channel. They'll be able to drag and drop a pre-formatted data schema. If people aren't familiar with data schemas, we'll have this ability, almost like a marketplace of different data schemas that people will download or be able to pull, and then they'll be able to fill in the logic as necessary. We want to make this very simple. So you could understand that some of the data schemas that we'll be working with will be stuff that on the business front, Benjamin Diggles has been working with, Moby, the Moby Foundation. And he's part of a group that's building a standard for how autonomous vehicles exchange data between each other. So you can imagine his work that he's been doing for the past year and a half around creating this standard would be a simple drag and drop that, hey, here's a standard used by the automotive industry for autonomous vehicles. You can actually start creating your own, your validated data feed within Constellation's network, and you already have a pre-populated fields on what to enter. On the crypto side of the business, you see this as the L0 standard. So people will be able to create and mint their own token on the DAG ecosystem, their own L0 token. And that really segues into the launch of Lattice. Lattice becomes our decentralized financial interface for the Constellation ecosystem. With every good ecosystem, whether it's a Kiretsu or just a digital economy, you have to have a financial interface. So Constellation's approach and what we're working with, as you all know, we raised money for Lattice last year, will be the launch of Lattice. Our MVP in Lattice is keeping it very simple and providing value to the DAG ecosystem, which means we're going to provide cross-chain liquidity from DAG, LTX, ETH, and hopefully Bitcoin, and probably throw in Doge there as that first iteration and step forward. The other main component of Lattice is that you'll have the ability to stake DAG. This is our first kind of way of earning or staking currency on our network. So this becomes the launch of our financial interface alongside the ability to create financial state channels called L0 and deploy that. In Q3 will be a very exciting quarter as we're going to start to put all these pieces together into the puzzle around token generation and listing. So where Lattice is our financial interface, you can now see that people that build out a financial state channel, an L0 standard and token with certain metrics around it, will be able to access and provide liquidity for those tokens in DAG and apply to feature that or distribute that or push that on the Lattice platform. So our goal is that people that are building in the DAG terminal will have instant access to deploy that and access liquidity through the Lattice platform. This is pretty exciting as we want this to be a one-stop shop where people can go to the DAG terminal, they can deploy nodes and select a provider like AWS, which Diggles has spent the course of the year building a relationship with. They'll be able to build out their data schema, maybe that's an L0 token standard, mint their token, and then publish and apply and publish to the Lattice exchange. Our focus is to make it rudimentarily simple for anybody to do this in a few steps. In Q3, once we have this set up, we will be focused on providing people the ability to apply for our Constellation incubator, which will be governed and managed by the Stardust Collective. Our goal here is that with all the inbound interest that we're getting around building on the Hypergraph, we want a decentralized governance board to come in and review proposals that might need funding. They might need various services that are crypto related. They might need help on putting together the business playbook. The Constellation incubator will then be launched there and will provide a viable path for people with great ideas, which we're already seeing a ton come in from, be able to get that support. And then, as we mentioned, the Lattice governance group will be able to vote in projects that want to be listed on Lattice. So this is a really exciting opportunity because we're starting to show LTX utility around governance of promoting projects, LTX giving people access to participate in the growth of those projects. People holding LTX and DAG having access to projects that are minting L0 tokens. So you start to see the entire economy come together of Lattice and Constellation all in one fell swoop. And then for Q4, we really bridge all of these pieces to push for the DataFi and the emergence of the datapreneur. So one of our goals last year was really to create this data exchange. But with every data exchange, you have a two-sided marketplace. You have people supplying data and you have people demanding data. And that's been one of the complicated things on merging these two worlds. So what we're focused on in Q2 around bringing early developers to create data schemas, validate data on Constellation's Hypergraph, minting L0 tokens, really kind of plays itself into Q4, where we bring all these ideas around what can you do with validated data. And so on one perspective, in this data exchange that we're creating called DataFi, you'll see people like, hey, I work in an automotive industry and I just validated LiDAR data and I want to sell that from GM to Honda. They will have that platform that they can monetize their data. Or if I'm the city of San Francisco and we have all this traffic light data and I want to put this into DataFi, I can open source it to invite innovation around what better can we do with our traffic light data or COVID data, for example. And so on the other side, and how it relates to crypto, is if I'm a crypto hedge fund and I'm wanting to create robust models and predictive analytics, I might look to DataFi to purchase data to underwrite a collateralized loan that I can make, or underwrite an algorithm that makes my trading solution more robust with more insights. And so you see that whole ecosystem really come together over the course of the next year. I'm gonna take a pause because I need to take a drink. All right, why state channels? Well, I think this has been on the question of everybody, and everybody's head is like, what is a state channel? And I'm gonna walk through some very simple things. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because this is really what the tokenomics paper will be about, at least at bullet point 3. But I do want to cover some things so that we get our mindset on the value of state channels. And so one of the things that kind of hit me is like, why do state channels? Why does anybody want to build? Well, decentralization matters, and a value-based network has been in the crosshairs of every developer, every person imaginable. That's why blockchain exists. And it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. People are looking for decentralized solutions that provide more transparency. But how it relates to Constellation is that people are excited to build on us. We are, with the DeFi space emerging, people are seeing the gaps and holes that exist across other networks that aren't scalable. And people are coming up with ideas in advertising, automotive, tax data management. Deloitte, for example, are coming to us with ideas on how to build on our network because of the issues that exist in other networks. And so that to us is really exciting. So why does it matter? It's because people want to build on this. People want to build out these solutions and understand the value of decentralized networks and community-based efforts and a value-based network. So this is exciting for us because of all the interest that's coming in every day. We had a call yesterday around tax data management. Well, we're not a tax data management company, but we want to empower these people to be able to build a robust tax data management solution that works across various departments in an organization. So state channels are like smart contracts, but with more robust security, permissions, control over the data. But why does that matter? Well, state channels will allow you to create an L0 financial state channel, which will have instant liquidity with Lattice. That to us is really exciting. And so Constellation's financial state channel will be called the L0, akin to the ERC20, which I talked about. So L0 is really a standard for cross-chain liquidity across base tokens, just like ERC20. The name is based on the L0 layer that Wyatt has some incredible findings on and is actually releasing some information on that. And I think is really kind of the secret sauce to all of this. So the key to a liquid and flowing digital economy where currencies are seamless liquid with one another is really why we have no gas fees, is because other currencies need to be compatible with each other. You need to be able to move money from one project to another and have that as an economy, right? Like that's why countries have that's why the EU has a currencies, to make it easy to push currency across different countries. So, I put a little note there around, why it's kind of example is like, what would the liquidity be like if BTC had implemented LZ0? This is kind of where, I don't really want to go into this because this is where the tokenomics is really going to drive, and really one of the fascinating things about where we're heading. But I threw that in there for you guys all to have an example. All right, let's finish this bad boy up. Last slide, please. Oh, you're on it. God, I need my glasses. So what have you heard? What have you heard today? I want to just do a recap because there's been a lot of information, probably a lot of screen captures, but I think on a broad stroke, Constellation is poised to capture sentiment in both the existing securities market the 30 trillion or whatever trillion that is. I think it's like 34 trillion now. Securities, as well as crypto, the crypto industry as well. And we look at the world in a lens of merging and blending the two worlds together to provide solutions for institutional investors, institutional token holders, institutional developers at these organizations. That's our entire mindset, and that's what we build in this network. And so we are building this decentralized ecosystem, which is a decentralized economy. And it kind of mirrors a Kiretsu, which I'll be talking with Reihito in a couple of weeks around, what's his experience in Japan? How do you take some of those learnings in Japan and bring them to the US and vice versa? And so we're merging a value-based network with real-world data and developer tools. Constellation organization and governance will resemble that of the Kiretsu. And that will be how we scale as an organization, from the social component to the technical component, and having that financial interface called Lattice. The big things that we're going to be releasing on the product side will be having this DAG terminal that will allow individuals with a very user-friendly interface to navigate and build state channels. And create their own L0 standard financial token. State channel creators will have this drag and drop preformed data schemas. You won't have to figure out what a data schema is. You'll be able to pull, drag and drop other examples of what a data schema is, whether that's your own personal information and you want to put your personal information and monetize that on the hypergraph. We'll have fields that you can, here's what is of value to marketers, and you can create a token around that and sell it, or push that onto the DataFi. And we're going to work alongside Lattice with L0 tokens to and the Lattice governance to publish tokens that are created in the DAG terminal into Lattice and have instant access to liquidity and cross-chain liquidity. And L0 token creators will need to stake, there's a misspelling there, but L0 token holders will need to stake DAG to supply liquidity. So we're going to provide the opportunity through our network to either, if you have your own tokens, to stake that, or if you need to go to node operators and get a loan of DAG or have DAG lent to you. These are all things that we're kind of building into our thinking. And at the very end of the year, our goal is really to create the Constellation Data Exchange and really invite the datapreneur to come to life through our Constellation Incubator, and have a marketplace for validated data feeds to invite the next world of a data-driven economy. So I'll take a pause. That's pretty much, that is everything. This is truly a digital economy, and it's fascinating to see, and it's got all the key components, and it's all coming together.
Well done, man.
Thank you.
Stellar, stellar.
We're all pretty excited about 2021, I think. And we've got, like you said, we got Reihito coming for a pretty big event there. We're going to drop some NFTs at that event. So we're really looking forward to that. And then we've got another build out that we're going to do that incorporates some charity work, because we're all heart driven here at Constellation and Lattice. And that is totally what inspired this project anyway, was like giving from the heart and touching people and connecting. And so I personally, that's going to be my gift that I get to do this year, and I'm really excited about, and I know that you guys will be too. So yeah. A couple of people have asked for these slides, and they're being recorded, and we're going to release it on Friday on our YouTube channel. So let us put the intro and outro and make this a little bit professional to put online so we don't look silly. And we will definitely share that with our community and you guys. And I have a problem that we have to talk about. I have the professional Zoom room, but not the pro Zoom room. And we filled this thing up. So, you know what?
That's great.
It is. We had over 100 people get in and say, let me in. So
wow.
The super successful. So I wanted to touch base with you all and just say thank you, because
Yeah.
a project is not successful without a great community. And the community has just been really loving and very supportive. And we just really appreciate you all. And this goes out mostly to Stardust Collective for sure, because they have just been, I mean, they're angels. And even though we've had kind of a rough path through 2020, at certain times, overall, we've just really powered through and made a huge difference and laid tons of foundations, as you guys saw. So I just want to thank you all for carrying us through and for the inspiration and encouragement through 2021, because it's going to be fantastic.
Thanks, Elise. You're doing a great job, and it's we've got some cool stuff coming up. I do want to make an announcement that we are aiming to push the Hypergraph Hour next week. That's the presidential inauguration day. So we thought it would be poorly attended slash maybe not the focus there. So we kind of want to give Ray that special attention when he comes in. So we most likely will be pushing Hypergraph Hour. As Elise mentioned, in March we have a big event coming up that will combine a lot of different thought leaders around the nonprofit space and what is our role in that. So I'm pretty excited about it, and there's been a lot of hard work on this entire company's side, that as well as community side. Like it goes noticed across the board, and we're always looking to improve. So I can't thank you all. Are there any immediate questions, or should we collect those for later?
I think we'll have a list going, because that took up the majority of our time, and we can we'll collect all the questions that you guys have in the community too, and kind of address them throughout the week. We're trying to do that in content as well. Like, we're trying to take everything from Hypergraph Hour and re-educate and recirculate through our social media and content. So if there is anything that you guys want to see or talk about, please bring it up in the chat room so that we can discuss it together. Benta says, any news on the light nodes?
More to come next time. I think that's all going to shed its light when you start thinking about state channels and how you deploy a state channel. So that's all in the works and what we talked through.
All right.
Cool.
Anything else, guys? Tokenomics coming next month. Yeah, as we mentioned previously and in the slide, Wyatt's absolutely working on that. He's doing great, and we're excited about that. What about the DoD stuff?
We've had some exciting things happen this week with the DoD that it's pretty amazing, even considering what happened with Capitol Hill last week. So can't say anything more about that.
I'll share more about that. Yeah, this is Diggles. I'll share more here soon. It's real fun stuff, but to Ben's point, we're going to announce when appropriate, but all systems are go. I will just say that we're still in line with a heavy-handed effort on the federal side in 2021 here. So big priorities, big exciting things.
Cool.
Any
right.
United States Air Force news? Yeah, guys, as soon as we get that into you, we don't keep anything from the community. As soon as we're allowed to legally release it all, why wouldn't we share that with you guys in the world? So keep that into consideration too when we keep asking these questions, because we want to tell you immediately. It's hard to keep me quiet over some of this stuff. So, but as it progresses, you guys will know. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Elise, for coordinating this, and everybody for helping putting this together. So
All right.
onward.
Until
Great
next
job.
time.
Great job,
Bye.
everybody.